correctly pointed out, as a former foreign minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, I would have spent 10 years understanding the challenges that the member states of CARICOM faced as we sought to put in place the structures, the systems, the processes to ensure the advancement of the ideal of free movement. And it is critical that we appreciate that this process, there has to be a translation of ideas and ideals to domestic law and to domestic implementation. And that has indeed been a challenge. As you would appreciate, as we move towards that, there continues to exist what is considered to be, let me use the technical term, functional cooperation. That functional cooperation is really the operationalizing of the idea of free movement, of regional integration. And therefore, as you would have heard, through our integration efforts, as far as education, health, culture, security, disaster management, technology and communication, agriculture, transportation. Of course, we know what has happened with the demise of LIAT in its original form and the challenges we have in movement, if we're talking about free movement. We continue to work towards, certainly each member state continues to work towards the ideal of free movement. But it cannot be allowed to happen at the whims and fancies and the ignoring of the requisite implementation of the legislation. Because at the end of the day, when we talk about this, we have to be sure that we are in possession as a country of the requisite information for planning purposes. Recognizing that there is a commitment with free movement to the provision of primary and secondary education, emergency and primary health care. So it is critical that we appreciate the implications of the situation of various countries. It is not a question, and I use the word that people like to toss around, it's not a case of us being xenophobic. It is a case of us understanding that if we are to offer to our people across the region and in the domestic space, so to speak, we have to understand and plan for within the framework of the requisite legislation. And so I think that as we look at this, it is necessary that we have articulated for us a clear process of the steps, but more importantly, in a situation where at least one of the member states in this initial 4-member group has a broad category or a large number of persons who have become citizens by investment, that we understand what rights and privileges accord to these persons. And I think that I will flag that as an issue that has not been articulated to my understanding. If I'm wrong, somebody can correct me. But I think in addition to ensuring that we follow and I use a word that the Prime Minister has been using, the guardrails of ensuring that we do the right thing, that beyond making sure that we follow the legislation, that we do what is standard in terms of the adoption of conventions and, in the case of CARICOM, decisions within the domestic sphere, that is at the country level, that we do so according to the rule of law, that we also spell out clearly the full parameters of who and what are involved in the making of the decision. And I think that there is, and I use a commonly used phrase, an elephant in the room that must be addressed. I flag this because, as I said, I served as foreign minister for 10 years. And this was an issue that was not resolved because within a number of member states, we have very active citizenship by investment. And when you look at the numbers, and I cite Dominica because Dominica is one of the parties in this 4-country arrangement, clearly if you look at the statistics I cited, and you extrapolate from that what must be the case of a system that has been in place since 1993. You are talking about citizens who, according to one of our regional leaders at the time we discussed this, were not contemplated under the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. And so I flagged that because that now complicates things. Mm-hmm. And I think I can pause there and have people, as we engage in this discussion going forward beyond this press conference, that we discuss that as a serious elephant in the room.